Hi guys, it's Frankie from Frankie Tech. Good to see you guys again, and I'm here with a preview of my comparison between the Redmi K30 Pro and the Redmi 10X 5G and 10X Pro 5G series. Now, the Redmi 10X and 10X Pro 5G have just launched in China. I will be working to get these units to review very soon, but I just wanted to talk today about a thought that I just can't let go of at this point. The Redmi K30 Pro represents obviously the flagship series of Redmi, and with a Snapdragon 865, a gorgeous bezel-less display, really great aluminum finish build quality, great speakers, and a terrific Sony IMX686, this phone represents the pinnacle of what Redmi wants to offer to the market right now. But with the launch of this Redmi 10X series, I think that Xiaomi is slowly moving away and is ready to embrace new and alternative CPUs and sensors in their phones. And that comes not just in the way of the new Dimensity 820, which is powering this Redmi 10X series, but also in the inclusion of this OmniVision OV48B sensor that now for the second time since the Mi 10 Lite Zoom or Mi 10 Youth 5G, I have seen this sensor on one of Redmi's phones. Now on paper, it might not seem like a lot separating this Redmi K30 Pro from the Redmi 10X Pro 5G. And the top of the line version of the Redmi 10X Pro 5G comes in at 2,599 yuan, so just 400 less than the base model of the Redmi K30 Pro series. Now on paper, there's quite a bit these phones have in common. 8.9mm, 218 grams versus 9mm, 208 grams. So pretty hefty phones overall, but still very solid feeling in the hand. Gorilla Glass 5 on the backs of these phones. 6.67 versus 6.57 inch display, and similar to the Mi 10 Lite Zoom, it will have that slightly larger bezel on the top with a notch and the lower bezel that is a bit more significant than on this Redmi K30 Pro. We're also going to see a single bottom firing speaker on this Redmi 10X series, and on top of that, we'll see very large battery capacities, 4,500 20 milliamperes versus the 4,700 of this Redmi K30 Pro. And these phones will house gorgeous Super AMOLED displays, Gorilla Glass 5, HDR10 Plus capable. There's a lot that is being carried over here from the K series down to this new X series of phones. But what are the things you sacrifice going from this Redmi K30 Pro or the K series down to the X series? Well, one thing you lose is the build quality. So this aluminum edge just feels so good in the hand. I have recently tested the Mi 10 Youth 5G, and I can tell you it just does not have the same feel as this Redmi K30 Pro, and that's the exact same finish that's going to be used on this Redmi 10X series. But the two key areas where I see the major difference from this K series and now the mid-range X series is in CPU and main camera sensors. And so instead of the traditional Snapdragon 865 or Qualcomm chipsets we've seen, we are now seeing this Dimensity 820, which scores very well in Antutu. 400,000 plus points on a chipset is very impressive. And I really feel that Xiaomi is now doing the work of legitimizing MediaTek, really changing the story on those processors that have previously been very maligned for their overheating and for their reliability issues. And I think Xiaomi knows that by including this type of Dimensity 820, they are able to hit these miraculous price points that we're seeing, especially now with the Redmi 10X 5G that comes in at 1,600 yuan or just 17,000 Indian rupees for a 5G enabled phone. It's incredible. But CPU is not the only place where they're making this change, and the other big change comes in the main camera sensor. So for the second time, I am seeing this OmniVision OV48B being used, and now as I've stated before, I've tested this sensor out with the Mi 10 Lite Zoom, and it favors comparably to what we see on this Redmi K30 Pro series in daylight. But when it comes to night shooting, I still think this camera doesn't hold up. And in fact, when it comes to evening time shooting, when there's just less light available, this camera does not perform to the level of a Sony IMX686 or even a 586 for that matter. And so it has just become very clear. I have now understood Xiaomi's strategy of changing the CPUs for Dimensity or MediaTek chipsets and changing the main camera sensors for OmniVision or other kind of different sensors that aren't the traditional Sony and Qualcomm kind of pair that we are used to seeing from them. but just like undercutting certain key specs allowed them to hit this incredible price point with the Redmi K30 Pro series, I think we're seeing a similar thing with this Redmi 10X, allowing them to bring a 5G phone at 1600 yuan, even undercutting that Mi 10 Lite Zoom or Mi 10 Youth 5G, which shipped with the Snapdragon 765. Now for me, I still get a lot of comfort knowing I'm running a Snapdragon chipset in my phone, but I do think the tide is slowly turning and the perception of MediaTek chips is changing. And Xiaomi is definitely having a big part in this change. And I foresee a time in a couple of years when we're going to be having chipset wars, just like we do with Redmi versus Realme. We will have a very staunch group of supporters of MediaTek chipsets who will claim that their chipsets are far and above beyond what Qualcomm is able to offer. For now, I think the GPUs in phones like the Redmi K30 Pro or in the Mi 10 Lite Zoom with the Adreno 620 are still superior to the Mali GPUs we see on MediaTek phones. But I really do believe, and I think Xiaomi knows its customer base, that the formula to success with people buying more phones is hit a lower price point with a higher Antutu score and you get a more desirable phone. And I think a lot of you guys out there will combine those two in your minds and the phone will become immediately more desirable. And that is why we see this Redmi 10X Pro 5G at the top of GSM Arena's list. Why? Because they are offering the highest Antutu scores for the lowest price. And I think Xiaomi is very much aware of that buying habit. Now, am I excited about the Redmi 10X and 10X Pro 5G? I'm somewhat excited. I definitely think they bring quite a bit to the table here, even though I know the experience is going to be very similar to the Mi 10 Lite Zoom. But just like this Redmi K30 Pro brought an incredible chipset and feature set to that 2,999 yuan price point, I think the Redmi 10X is doing something similar here, bringing 5G to the masses at 1,600 RMB, 17,000 rupees. And I think if this trend continues, we're going to see a Xiaomi or Redmi 5G enabled phone under 1,000 RMB by the end of this year. But hit me up in the comments. Are you still a fan of Qualcomm chipsets like this Redmi K30 Pro? Or are you now more interested in the MediaTek offerings of Redmi because they're hitting these incredibly low price points? Hit me up in the comments. I'd love to hear about it. And yes, every phone has its day in the sun, but this Redmi K30 Pro is still a terrific phone. And if you did want to spend the extra little bit of cash, I really still do think this Redmi K30 Pro series is the one to get of all of Redmi's offerings in 2020. And that's it for this video. If you liked it, give me that thumbs up. And if you love the content of Frankie Tech, subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell icon for future updates. Stay tuned, guys. I'm working to get these phones on the channel as soon as I can, and I do appreciate all the support. So that's it, and this is where I leave you by saying, this is Frankie Tech signing off. Have a good one.